Welcome back, everybody. So the past few videos we have looked at previous drafts from 2010 to 2011, and today we are going to be looking at the 2012 NBA draft, which had a #1 prospect that was without a doubt the #1 selection in Kentucky big man Anthony Davis, who came into the draft pretty much as the best all-around player and the most potential of every other player in this draft. However, it was still a fairly deep draft. Exciting players such as Dion Waiters, Bradley Beal, Terrence Ross, and Andre Drummond, to name a few. Unsurprisingly, not all of these players will have successful or have had successful careers, but today we're going to be looking at specifically the top 10 selections in this draft, and we're going to be seeing where each of their careers are at today. Thank you guys for watching this one, and let's go ahead and jump right into the #1 selection.
With the first pick in the 2012 NBA draft, the New Orleans Hornets select Anthony Davis.
First up, as I mentioned before, we have Anthony Davis, the #1 selection in every mock draft. He was drafted by the struggling New Orleans Hornets, who needed a superstar for their roster to turn around. Despite becoming a top player in the NBA, AD never quite helped the Hornets/Pelicans, which they changed to in a few years into his career, to become a contending team. He spent 7 fairly unsuccessful seasons in New Orleans with 6 All-Star appearances, but only 2 playoff appearances, both resulting in an early exit. Davis eventually did move to the Lakers, as we all know, teaming up with LeBron in one of the biggest trades in recent NBA history, and the Lakers would give him an opportunity to become a star power forward, and it would allow him to win a championship in the 2020 NBA bubble. Davis is undoubtedly a great player, but despite being selected first overall, his career has been overshadowed by extreme amounts of injuries. He has not been able to play much of the seasons of the past few years, and injuries have limited him from playing a large portion of the games across his career.
With the second pick in the 2012 NBA draft, the Charlotte Bobcats select Michael KiddGilchrist of the University of Kentucky.
With the second pick in the draft, we have star defensive power forward, small forward hybrid Michael KiddGilchrist, who was selected by the very, very bad Charlotte Bobcats. If you don't know how bad they were 7-59, and I made a video about them just a few days ago. If you would like to check it out, it'll be right in that corner right there. Despite his outstanding defense, though, across a 9-year career, Gilchrist never developed his offensive game much farther than at least below average. His highest points per game average was only ever 12 points per game throughout his career, and after 8 relatively uneventful seasons in Charlotte, Gilchrist spent his final 13 games in the NBA in Dallas before being out of the league completely by the 2020 season. For his career, he only has averages of 8 points per game, 5.5 rebounds per game, 1 assist per game, while shooting 47% from the field and an abysmal 27% from 3. He is most known for how atrocious his jump shot form was early in his career and being a massive bust when compared to some of the players taken behind him.
With the third pick in the 2012 NBA draft, the Washington Wizards select Bradley Beal from the University of Florida.
With the third selection, we have a actually solid NBA team. The Washington Wizards selected Bradley Beal, who hoped to pair up with John Wall, a superstar in the making, and give them a boost straight into contention. And surprisingly enough, for the first few seasons, it seemed to work, as after missing the playoffs his rookie year, Bradley Beal and John Wall led the Wizards to 4 straight playoff appearances, making it to the second round 3 of those times, and each time giving their team or their opponent a tough matchup. The Wizards looked to be the next team up, but injuries kind of ruined that for them. Wall and Beal both were limited in their total potential, and despite those few successful seasons, Beal has never made a deep playoff run since 2016, where John Wall left the team. Beal has become an empty stats guy to some point, having extremely impressive averages, actually averaging around 30 points per game at one point on a team that is consistently bad, while getting paid massive contracts to not win games. He has made 3 All-Star teams and 1 All-NBA team, but his losing will likely continue, as Beal recently signed a 5-year, $251 million Supermax extension, making him a quality pick with little on-court success.
With the fourth pick in the 2012 NBA draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select Dion Waiters of Syracuse University.
coming in at the 4th selection, we have a similar player to Bradley Beal, another offensive-minded shooting guard. As an all-time journeyman out of Syracuse, Waiters was drafted by the Cavaliers, but he would spend time in OKC, Miami, and Los Angeles as well across his 8-year career. While he was relatively successful in Cleveland, he was forced out basically because Kyrie Irving needed more space in the offense. And during his 2 years in OKC, he was decent but looked to be trending downwards. However, he revitalized his career completely across 4 seasons in Miami, as his role in the offense was much bigger than what he expected it to be. He grew and helped the Heat out of a tough situation, averaging about 14 points per game during his time there, but getting as high as 16 points per game. Despite this, though, during the 2020 pandemic, he did play some time with the Lakers, where he would only play about 7 games total in the bubble, averaging 12 points per game, but still technically winning a championship on the roster. So while Waiters has never made an all-star appearance or anything like that, he has always been a relatively consistent offensive producer and found a role on almost every team he played on. Lack of motivation and bad conditioning probably lost Waiters his place in the NBA, something that too many players have experienced.
The 5th pick in the 2012 NBA Draft, the Sacramento Kings select Thomas Robinson from the University of Kansas.
With the 5th pick in the draft, Kansas power forward Thomas Robinson was selected by the Sacramento Kings for being a dominant rebounder and one of the best rim protectors in the draft. Unfortunately, he never lived up to these expectations, as many of you may not even know his name. He only played 5 total seasons in the league, playing for 6 different teams. He never averaged more than 6 points per game, and his rebounding numbers capped out at around 6 points or 6 rebounds per game as well, despite his scouting report claiming he was the best rebounder in the draft. Robinson's last season was in 2016, where he played 48 games, but low numbers led to him losing his place on the roster. And while his lack of development is no shock considering he was drafted by the Kings, he has spent time in the European leagues, most notably in Puerto Rico, where he has been fairly successful for the last few years.
6th pick in the 2012 NBA Draft, the Portland Trail Blazers select Damian Lillard of Weber State University.
Weber State guard Damian Lillard was looked at as too small because he played at a small college. Most scouts stayed away from drafting him except the Portland Trail Blazers, as we all know. Little did they know, though, that Lillard would become one of the best guards in the NBA in just a few short seasons. Since being drafted, Lillard has a long list of accomplishments: 6 All-Star appearances, 6 All-NBA teams, 2012 Rookie of the Year and All-Rookie team, and on top of all of that, being named a part of the NBA's 75th top 75 players of all time. Despite his success, the only knock on Lillard's career is the lack of playoff success, as the Blazers have never made a deep run outside of one singular Western Conference Finals appearance, which they were dismantled by the Warriors in 4 across his 10 seasons. In total, despite 12 playoff appearances, Lillard and the Blazers have only advanced to the second round 3 times, having a 3-5 record in the first round. And in 2018, they were even upset by the 6th seed and as the 3 seed against New Orleans with a clean sweep. Lillard is obviously one of the best players of this draft, and despite his lack of playoff success, his loyalty and extremely humble personality makes him a fan favorite and a personal favorite, and one of the best picks in this draft.
The 7th pick in the 2012 NBA Draft, the Golden State Warriors select Harrison Barnes from the University of North Carolina.
Another top UNC prospect that we have seen in the past numerous of came at the 7th overall pick, and do-it-all small forward Harrison Barnes. Barnes was selected by the young up-and-coming Golden State Warriors, who hoped he could pair well next to fellow guards Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. While Barnes has never made the leap into becoming an all-star, he has had an extremely successful career as a high-end quality role player or starter, playing a key role in 2015 and 2016 as a part of the championship team in 15 and the 73-9 roster in 16. Barnes was able to get a massive contract from the Mavericks, who hoped he could become a star on his own. While he, as mentioned before, though, he never took that leap, and after 2.5 decent seasons in Dallas, Barnes was shipped to Sacramento, where he has now been for 4 seasons. He appeared to be going down, though. In 2021, he averaged 16 points per game and on efficient shooting and good defensive play, making him a name in numerous trade rumors and giving him a renewed life as an NBA player. Barnes may never be a star, but this draft was full of quality role players who have all had relatively successful careers for themselves, and he is one of those.
With the 8th pick in the 2012 NBA Draft, the Toronto Raptors select Terrence Ross from the University of Washington.
Getting to our final 3 selections, we have a player whose career is extremely similar to Harrison Barnes. While his playoff success may not be the same, Terrence Ross out of Washington was a guy, or is a guy, that has always been a spark plug off the bench or starting throughout his 10-year career. And across his 5 seasons in Toronto and 6 in Orlando, he has never lost his role as a high quality role player. While he's never become more than that, Ross is going to be the name in numerous trade rumors this season, as multiple contending teams could use him to get over the hump and make a championship run. He's never won any actual awards outside of a dunk contest champion in 2013, yet he continues to be a solid contributor. While his averages went down in 2021 to 10 points per game because of lack of minutes, he did average 15 points per game in the 3 seasons before that, and was on track for a 4th before an injury limited him to only 24 games in that 4th season. As mentioned, Ross is nothing more than a role player, but he doesn't need to be in order to be considered a quality draft selection at that 8th spot.
With the 9th pick in the 2012 NBA Draft, the Detroit Pistons select Andre Drummond from the University of Connecticut.
While Thomas Robinson was, in theory, the best rebounding prospect in the draft, Andre Drummond out of Connecticut was the best rebounder in the NBA. Being drafted by an all-time low Detroit Pistons team, Drummond quickly became one of the top big men in the league, providing quality minutes at a high level for the Pistons. He would eventually spend 8 seasons in Detroit, making 2 All-Star appearances and being seen as the best rebounder in the NBA, multiple times leading the league in rebounds per game and total rebounds. Despite 2 first-round losses in the playoffs, the Pistons never had any really quality seasons with Drummond at the lead. Since then, though, he has not been the center he used to be, but Drummond continues to find a role on contending teams, both starting and as a backup center, hoping to make a deep playoff run and win his first championship. Most recently, Drummond signed with the Chicago Bulls, hoping to counteract to what Nikola Vucevic can and can't do himself. For the 9th overall pick, Drummond honestly exceeded expectations much farther than he ever could have, and while he did get significantly worse than what he was expected to be, he is still a quality selection.
The 10th pick in the 2012 NBA Draft, the New Orleans Hornets select Austin Rivers from Duke University.
If we've learned anything in the past 2 draft retrospectives, we know that Duke produces top NBA prospects, and son of legendary head coach Doc Rivers, Austin Rivers is no different. After trading away Chris Paul, the New Orleans Hornets needed a new point guard, so they selected Rivers with the 10th spot, and however, he never was able to fulfill that role. He has been an NBA journeyman for about all 10 seasons of his career, playing for 6 different teams and having a key role off the bench for each and every team, most notably with the Lob City Clippers, playing beneath his father as his head coach. Most recently, Rivers has played with the Nuggets, providing quality minutes during the absence of Jamal Murray due to injury, but at the end of the day, his career has never been that exciting. With a career high of 15 points per game, Rivers has always been a respectable player for the 10th overall pick, but nothing too crazy. And there you have it. That is the top 10 selections. This one's a little bit more fast-paced than my previous ones, as I didn't want them to be as long as they had been. This draft has a few extremely talented players that have become obviously generational talents, from Anthony Davis to Damian Lillard, 2 guys that are perennial all-stars. But despite that, it is still a fairly strong draft that produced a good bit of key role players that we know and love today, from Terrence Ross to Austin Rivers, guys like that who have been, you know, helping this draft stay afloat despite the top-heavy draft that it was. Next time, however, we are going to be looking at the 2013 NBA Draft, which features possibly one of the greatest steals in NBA history, a future NBA champion, Finals MVP, and multiple-time MVP. You guys know who I'm talking about, so stay tuned for that one. If you enjoy this type of content, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you all for watching this video. Make sure you check out the next one whenever it hits the YouTube algorithm. You guys know how that can be. Thank you for watching this one. Turn post notifications on, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.